you've got to get into the details of the thinking that people are doing when they're persevering intellectually, to see what that looks like. And it's different for all of us. It's unique to each of us, that process. And a lot of it, again, depends upon how much our egocentric side is saying, you're not capable, or you can't do that, or you're not, you're not accomplished enough, or whatever the nonsense is that your ego is telling you. So in other words, that side of us, that side that tells us we can't accomplish, or we're not good enough, or maybe it tells us we are good enough, but we'll get around to it when we get around to it. And when we get around to it, well, then we'll be fantastic at it. So in other words, you've got to figure out what is the nonsense your mind is telling you that is keeping you from accomplishing what you know that you're capable of accomplishing.
Yeah. And, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, an example of this for me is when I started doing art, and I looked at this book by this artist who said, as artists often do, everyone can learn to draw. And now this is related to confidence and reason. So I said to myself, no, that's not true, because I don't know how to draw, and I'm sure I won't be able to draw. It says, all I can draw is a stick figure. So this person doesn't know what she's talking about. So then you read page 1, but on page 1, there's nothing that I, in this case, could see. There was nothing that I could disagree with from what the author was saying. I just, everything made sense, even though part of it said, well, now I'm sure I can't learn to draw. So then turn the page, confidence and reason, intellectual perseverance, go to the next page. Again, nothing here. I can't argue with any of this. The logic she's laying out just makes sense. So I keep telling myself, no, there's no way. She can't know what she's talking about. So again, the egocentric side. You can't know what she's talking about. She can't be right. But it's there. There's no way to argue with her arguments. So again, it's turn the page until finally I thought, I'm just going to buy the book, turn to the page where she says to buy all these supplies, get those, it's basically pencil, paper, and erasers, and go. And she says, okay, turn the page, you draw, an egg, you draw an egg, and you shade it here and you shade it. Well, surely I can learn to draw an egg. You see, this is the steps involved in learning the very building blocks of art itself. So I said to myself, okay, well, just try to go and draw the egg. Don't try to see if you can be, a magnificent artist. Ask yourself if you can draw the egg. She says you can. Now see if you can. So there you are. You're drawing the egg. Suddenly it looks like same thing she's got on the piece of paper, but you can't argue with it. There's an egg. There's an egg. Turn the page. So what I'm saying is, again, this is just an example of how you've got to keep moving through it, even though part of you say, no, that can't be right.
Right. I was going to say, it's just as an aside, but when you talk about egocentricity, oftentimes when you talk about when you hear the word, when a person hears the word egocentric, they think in terms of selfishness, or of something like I'm so great, as being egocentric. And indeed, that is a manifestation of being egocentric. But it's nice that you emphasize the opposite side also, that when the voice says, I'm not going to be able to do this, I'm insufficient, I can't accomplish this, that too is egocentricity. It's that inner self that is not tamed by rationality at all, that's whispering in your ear about it. So it's nice. It's good to have the nice, rich conception of egocentricity, and it's very different kinds of manifestations.
Yes, I realized I hadn't really elaborated that, and maybe it wasn't clear. I think of it sort of an easy first move in thinking about egocentricity is, as you mentioned, either selfishness, which is very easy for people to conceptualize and to understand. The other one is more difficult, and that is being trapped within some viewpoint. It's
Right.
the being trapped within. It can be a narrow viewpoint, or it can be a relatively broad one. But the point is, you're trapped within that.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
that may be thinking that you are not capable of accomplishing,
mhm,
or it's opposite, as you mentioned. I already, I've got this covered. Oh,
mhm.
being an artist, piece of cake. No problem. This lady says everybody can be an artist. I'm sure I could. Now I can't draw anything right now, but if I tried, oh, I'd be the best. So I don't
Mm,
have to worry about trying, because I
yeah,
would just outflank everyone once I actually got started. So the
yeah.
arrogance
Hmm. And
comes in.
it reminds me. I mean, I run into people who say that, and I often wonder whether that's just a front that people put up for others and for themselves to say, I can accomplish anything I set my mind to, or whether they really are being arrogant and really do believe such nonsensical thing. Uh, but it just called back to me an earlier thing you said about the difficulty